Morning. You have to excuse me. I've been stood over by a cat. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm too nice for my own good. Here I am thinking, yeah, no worries. Look, it's got short hair. It'll be okay. Soon as one day of a little bit of hot, like a fucking porcupine. Anyhow, today we are talking about, well, there's a lot on the agenda today. Oh gosh. Firstly, we'll start with this little chestnut, and that is the George Morogi story that I touched on earlier. And with that, the age, not intentionally, I said that before, I'll say it again, not intentionally, I don't think, well, not intentionally, reported, and the Herald Sun reported about Morogi's big plan to escape, how he had, on a USB stick, no doubt, purchases of yachts and helicopters and what have you. And in that, though, this is the Victorian Corrective Services chose to use AI bot technology to literally torture me. Literally, I'd be going to sleep with this AI bot in my ear for nearly 6 years straight. These incompetent muppets. So these peanuts, like Munnings, Selesky, just old dinosaurs, believe me, just dinosaurs that couldn't manage in the proverbial, just duds, just more, probably the type that woke up one day and were like, geez, not a bad rod, there's 500k a year. Just bullied their way through the staff and got there. And woke up one day and thought, what, management? They're just, look, just lock the bastards down, that's it. Whatever the case, Corrections Victoria's prisons are the most mismanaged rabble you would come across. And there's too much evidence from a completely avoidable prison riot and this is just a few, just quickly, a completely avoidable prison riot that started at the Metropolitan Prison Centre, Metropolitan Remand Prison, MRC, whatever the technical term for that is. And it started at a remand unit and in the induction unit, just to really just show you how it's not like some cold calculating Morogi with nothing but time on his hands manipulating the corrective services work. It's none of that. It was just through utter mismanagement and well reported, well documented, not listening to lower ranked prison officers who could all be heard complaining around the time that we're not ready for the smoking ban, but it just fell on deaf ears because of the mismanagement that still exists in the prison system today. And the Victorian taxpayer were left with a $40 million that was reported bill, and no problem, just blame those scumbag inmates. It's got nothing to do with our mismanagement. As if it's those scumbags that we were paid a lot of money to manage. Anyhow, so there's that. Then a few years after that, we've got the not in chronological order, but in a few years later, we've got the ridiculous ghost prison, which is a $1.1 billion prison sitting completely empty while it is fully staffed. You heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. For nearly 3 years. Reported as 2 years, but for nearly 3 years that prison sat empty, fully staffed with 0 inmates. So there's another example. And there's, all the well-paid, what they call a 3-pipper, so supervisors, top, heaviest industry you will ever see. All just sitting there going, hey, it's not a bad right, this. So there's that one. Hang on, there's another one. Then there's the Durrangol Correctional. So what happened there with Durrangol? During the riots time and the mismanagement time and the tragic murder of Jill Maher, who was killed by a person who was on both bail and parole at the same time, that led to overcrowding, and it was the most ridiculous system. An already ridiculous system was made even more ridiculous, put it that way. I won't get anywhere near COVID. Oh gosh. Anyhow, so what they did was they introduced, like the West Australian prison system had done in 1998, the Victorian prison system thought they would try to increase the bed count, what they call dongers, which are just those mining, shipping containers converted to living conditions, and they're dongers, and they're great, everything. So they put these out there, another 50 of them at great cost to the community. But what happened was the staff at Durrangol, they didn't like the fact that they had to, hang on a minute, we've got 600. The kitchen staff had run off their feet, the canteen, there was no infrastructure, it was not thought out. So yeah, no worries, we'll just throw in, I think 250 beds, which is nearly doubling the capacity of the prison. This is Victorian state government. Corrections Victoria, that Jacinta Allen has such impeccable trust of. So they nearly doubled the bed count at Durrangol Prison, but without increasing infrastructure. No increase in canteen size, no increase in kitchen size, no increase in the stores, no increase in the what work was on offer for the inmates, no increase in anything, literally. There was no increase in one thing, just doubled the bed count. So that then created, obviously, issues, including, and the same is true for the prison officers. Their amenities weren't increased. However, obviously, because there's strict, they've got to stay certain amount of inmates, need certain amount of prison officers. So, for example, I think for every 4 inmates, you need 1 officer in a mainstream, stuff like that. And that obviously goes up significantly with minimum security prisons. Anyhow, so here they double the bed count. Well, that led to unrest in the prison officers. So coincidentally, there's power failure. Oh, the power grid doesn't work anymore. Sorry, we can't. No, we cannot have it. Sorry, the dongers failed. A year of it working fine, but a little bit of manipulation from the higher officers of the Durrangol Prison. So we've got that one. Then we've got the G4S Run, who have just been paid $13 million for 40 machete bins. The G4S Run Port Phillip Prison, that's right, where Salamander is. The unit that was built expected to fill a lot of corrupt police officers, but didn't. So where that is, what happened was when there was a lot of drugs and corruption and whatnot linked to that prison system, the government was forced, had no choice, but to run an investigation into it. Well, coincidentally, with that prison, there was a fire. You heard that right, a fire in the books section, in the section where the computers, the servers, with all the info on the running of the prison for the last 2 decades or whatever it was. Coincidentally, that all burnt down. And inmates cannot get within, and it's a maximum security. So there's not even billet inmates who clean the office or anything. It's just barred. You cannot get anywhere near it. Well, coincidentally, there was just this weird little fire that was confined to that one server room. I kid you not. Anyhow, so that is your corrective services that then led to Morogi. And that's just a few. I could continue, believe me. I'm just trying to keep it short. So that then led to the story of Morogi running his drug empire, $1 billion. It was a big, he was running a lot of drugs in a relatively short period of time. Everybody knew of Morogi's, I won't even say the type it was, but of Morogi's methamphetamine. Everybody knew. And clearly, so did the federal police, because they would have got wind. Hang on, wait, I can tie that meth to there, because this is what the federal police do, for those that don't know. I can link that meth, right? That's coming from such and such clique. That coke's come from there, right? Okay, the Italians have done that. Righto, that's coming from that gang, yeah, okay. And they keep an eye on it like that. They know exactly who's who in the Australian drug zoo, put it that way. Well, they're getting this certain type of meth popping up. People have, you know, all of a sudden there's new up-and-comer dealers on the streets of St Kilda's, here's, there's. Hang on, who's he linked to? Oh, we just got this guy, and they link it back to this mysterious Morogi clan, you know, the NCF basically. Well, hang on, this guy's in jail. So who's on his phone? No one. He's just got a lawyer. Hang on a minute, what's his lawyer's phone number? Happens to be the same number that we're tracking, you know. So they have a burner phone and they have a real phone. And everywhere Morogi's girlfriend was driving, the same phone number, hang on a minute, is the lawyer with her 24/7. You know, it's pretty easy to work out, is my point. So my point is, the federal police exposed it, not Corrections Victoria, not some big intel unit down there in Barwon doing some great work and noticing Morogi's running a meth ring from the management unit. No chance. The federal police got onto it, started sniffing around, asking questions. Then and only then would Corrections Victoria and the prison system weigh in, like, oh yes, no, oh we thought, like, no chat. Anyway, so there's that little nugget that needs correcting, because there is no chance Corrections Victoria and all its prison system is anything but half the problem. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. Corrections Victoria allowed, think about how disgusting this is, allowed through, and I'm talking multiple jails, GEO prison, a privately run prison, G4S prison, they couldn't do it because they didn't have the tech. They struggled. They could only just do it every now and then through the antiquated, the old stenophone, the intercom system in the prison. They couldn't do it. Nor could Loddon prison, because they had the old, so they could check all this. They had the old intercom system. But basically, anywhere that had the new stenophone with the green light, for anybody who's been to the Victorian prison system, once it's got the green light, you know the prison intercom system is running through connected. It's running through connectivity. It's the new intercom system that they put in, and through that they were running AI bot technology, chat bot technology, which just is basically repeated, constant repetition, talking, basically just giving you a running commentary on everything from the way you sleep to the way you go to the toilet to the way you go to the shower. And they combine that really disturbingly at the Metropolitan Remand Centre with hidden surveillance equipment. Literally. They literally have hidden cameras in the Metropolitan Remand Centre in every single prison cell. Now you think to yourself, oh, you know, they couldn't watch 1,100 cells, and that's right, they can't. But when they want to switch it on, you know, say, I don't know, say a Pat Barbaro and his tomato tins clan is there, and they want to, you know, they've got some pretty extensive warrants because they want to track his phones. Well, they can flick it on, tick, click it on, and cell 27, believe me, because I used to always wonder, why am I always getting put in the same cell in whatever unit I go to? And I'm dealing with exactly the same problem. For mine, I believe, I don't know this, obviously, I believe they have set cells, because sometimes even when I'd just get told, here, you can go live there. Oh, it's a good cell, you want to stay there? And what they do is they put it right down away from the screws box, so that, you know, you're well away from anything, and act like they're doing you this, but you know, you can tell, well, hang on, there's no way they could be doing what they're doing to me without hidden cameras in the prison cells. It is so disgusting, so disgusting. That's the Victorian prison system. You know how illegal that is? You know how illegal that is to be using the same AI bot technology they used to literally glean information off suspected terrorists in Guantanamo Bay. Oh, yuck. And that's the corrective services that Jacinta Allen trusts so much. Speak soon, guys.